Welcome to the deep dive. We unpack some fascinating stories hidden in the digital world.
Yeah, and today we're looking at someone called Spydirbyte.
Right. A self-proclaimed hacker says he's linked to, anonymous.
Mm-hmm. And our main source for this is this new biography, Spydirbyte, Echoes in the Code.
Written by Alberto Daniel Hill, a cybersecurity expert himself. It uses interviews, Spydirbyte's own writings, some OSINT.
And importantly, Hill has his own, let's say, notable history with the justice system. First person in Uruguay jailed for a computer crime, though later cleared. So, that perspective matters here.
Definitely adds a layer. Okay, so our mission, dive into his claimed background, his tools, his ideology.
And the operations he says he did, yeah.
So where does his story start, according to this book?
It starts dark. He's quoted saying he's the result of pain, abuse, anger, and awakening. Really stark stuff.
Pain, abuse. What does that refer to?
Well, the book describes losing his biological mother, then facing extreme isolation and abuse from a stepmother. He actually calls her a monster.
Wow. Okay, that's intense. How does he say that shaped him?
He claims it fundamentally changed him, said it either breaks you or it builds something cold and powerful inside you.
Cold and powerful.
Yeah, and that led to this sort of double life he talks about. Street kid, but also a hacker looking for chaos and control.
Chaos and control. And there was a specific incident when he was young.
Right, at 15, he claims he was doxxed, personal info dumped online and swatted, which is incredibly dangerous.
Horrifying. But he says that didn't stop him.
Quite the opposite, apparently. He claims it emboldened him, made him want to master those tactics himself.
That's quite a reaction, turning it around like that.
Exactly. He apparently discovered code could be more powerful than fists.
So how did he get started with the tech side, the computers?
He's pretty blunt about it in the book. Says, I guess I kind of stole a computer, and that's just where I began.
Just like that. And what tools fascinated him early on?
RATs, remote access Trojans. Malware that lets you control someone else's machine. He saw them as an unstoppable superpower.
And his name, Spydirbyte.
Fits right in, doesn't it? Means spying in directories with malware. He apparently has this belief that malware maketh the man.
Okay, so that's the early hacker phase.
Yeah.
What about Anonymous? When did he get involved there?
He claims it was around 2009, and for him it was about freedom, a place he could just be himself, no judgment, no face.
And his motivation within the group, what does the book say?
Pretty clear. Exposing what needs to be exposed, if it's corrupt. That's the stated goal.
He also connects it to his heritage.
Yeah, he reportedly brings up his Native American background, says, it's in my blood to fight when the system turns against the people. So it's this mix of personal trauma, ideology, and heritage in his telling.
Let's talk operations. The book mentions a long history, right? Over 30 campaigns.
Yeah, over a decade's worth. And it doesn't shy away from an earlier black hat. Period.
Black hat, meaning purely criminal stuff.
Right. Selling stolen identities, like grab your whole identity, even helping provide info for hitman services. He apparently puts this down to being numb from trauma at the time.
But he later regretted that part.
He reportedly calls them things I'm not proud of, like he was lashing out at the world. Suggests a shift towards hacktivism later.
Okay, so what are some of the major hacktivist operations claimed?
The book lists some significant ones. Allegedly hitting Tunisian government comms during Op Tunisia.
Right, during the Arab Spring period.
Shutting down apparently hundreds of police sites during Op Ferguson, engaging in what he calls cyber warfare against Russian and Iranian targets.
So state-level targets, too.
Impacting Georgian ministries, and then targeting specific U.S. figures and groups. InfoWars and Moms for Liberty are mentioned. Definitely shows a move towards highly political targets later on.
We absolutely have to circle back to the source, though. This is all filtered through Alberto Daniel Hill, based heavily on Spydirbyte's own words.
Exactly. Hill himself apparently notes it's not a biography in the traditional empirically verifiable sense, and he calls Spydirbyte a legend.
So it's very much an authorized narrative.
Yeah.
Shaped by the subject and the biographer's own lens.
Precisely. It's one version of the story.
Okay, so wrapping this up, what's the takeaway here? Spydirbyte, as presented, seems like this really complex figure, product of trauma, the internet age.
Mixing activism, skill, and, admitted crime. His story, or at least this telling of it, really highlights how personal history can collide with online worlds and shape someone's path.
Yeah, you see the claim journey from maybe purely personal lashing out to more political hacktivism. It shows how messy the motivations can be.
Yeah.
The lines between justice and breaking the law get very blurry.
Absolutely.
And ultimately, when you look at figures like this, especially when their main story comes filtered like this one, through self-reporting and a specific biographer, it leaves you with a big question, doesn't it?
What does truth even mean when you're operating way out in the digital shadows?
Something to think about.